Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Just to bring you back up to speed, the way we were and what we were doing before the little break that we had down here in South Africa. So we remember we discussing the mu'jizat, the miracles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we remember we done alamat and nubuwah. We discussed it earlier. Remember, I told you a mu'jiza is something which is out of the ordinary, something which is normally it is a system of Allah Ta'ala. The world is what we term is darul asbab, the place of means. Everything has a certain pattern. Like I told you, the fire will burn, the water will drown, the knife will cut. That's a normal system. But sometimes something happens contrary to its normal system, right? Something happens contrary to the normal system, right? And then these can be divided in different categories, right? We discussed this here. We said irhasat with the small ha, what you call, some people call flower, like a flower, right? Irhasat, that is something that happens prior to nubuwwat, and we've done several examples of that, right? And the second thing we said, mu'ajizat, that is where a prophet does something after nubuwwat, after he makes his claim that I am a nabi, inni rasulullah ilaykum, etc., etc., and then he shows something out of the ordinary to show that he's not a normal person. He is a different person, right? And it's called a mu'jiza. In English, you just say miracle. Anything out of the ordinary, you refer to a miracle. But in Shariat, etc., you have a separate name for each one, right? So I told you something which is out of the ordinary of a prophet is called a mu'jiza. And the one that we done that is mentioned in the Quran is what? The splitting of the moon. اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر, etc., etc. And then just while we're discussing this, in case I forget it later on, I remember I told you as we go along, we're going to show you what are the signs of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Like, I told you, Alhamdulillah, so far since we're going along, we're going in Mishkaat Shareef and in Aqidatul Samawiyah. I tell you, Aqidatul Tahawiyah, Aqidatul Samawiyah. I was showing you those things by which you can recognize that this person is the same ideology as what I am, right? He's not a Shia, he's not a Qadiani, he's not like sometimes, you travel, you go overseas, you go to Makkah, you go to Medina, maybe you'll travel to Oman, you'll meet people, and so Alhamdulillah, we've been pointing out you the ways where you can very easily can recognize, is this person on the same, in Urdu is a nice word, they say, Ham khiyal, what? Ham khiyal. Is he of the same ideology as what I am? And then this is one of the signs where you can recognize if this person is as the same khiyal of me, is the same ideology, that he accepts miracles. He accepts miracles at the hands of the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wa taslim, right? So this is one of the hallmarks of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that they accept that, right? Then there's another one. The next one is karamat. Luqman, if you remember this, I remember this text comes in Usul al-Shashi. Wa karamatul awliya haqqun. Luqman, remember? What does it mean? Wa karamatul awliya haqqun. So here they'll explain, karamat refer to out of the ordinary act, right? Right? Which happens at a muttabi sunnat, a person who is a Muslim and he follows the sunnat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Are you with me? So we, the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we also believe that a person who follows the sunnat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously he's a believer and he follows a muttabi a sunnat. Sometimes things will happen at his hands which are out of the ordinary. And here the reason was i'azazan wa ikraman, to show honor to that person. So yeah, there's an interesting thing here. Okay, so before I mentioned this thing, I want to mention to you. So I told you this Qadianis, ne? And even this Quran only people, they don't believe in miracles. Not from the Anbiya alayhi salatu wa taslim, and not even from a non-Nabi. While we believe that a non-Nabi, pious person can perform a miracle, right? Are you with me? Look here, before we come to that here, what I'm saying, look here, the famous incident was the incident of Hazrat. There are many incidents of Hazrat Umar alayhi salam. Remember, the famous come the hadith. There was Hazrat Umar radiallahu was saying on the mimbar, and he sent one army out, and the army wanted to attack from the rear. So while Hazrat Umar was saying, he said, uh, Ya Sariya al-Jabal, Ya Sariya al-Jabal. Oh Sariya, they're going to attack you from the mountain, they're going to attack you from behind. Allah Ta'ala transported that voice all the way to Sariya radiallahu ta'ala. Remember? So that, like that, there are many examples. As Umar, he sent a letter to the Nile and he told the Nile, if you are flow, the custom there was that they would sacrifice a young virgin girl to the Nile in order for the Nile to overflow. And then there's almost the instruction that look here, if you flow with the mission of Allah Ta'ala, then flow, overflow, because they would wait for the dam to flow to irrigate the crops. And then the dam overflowed without a virgin girl being sacrificed. So there are many like that. But anyway, the main point I'm trying to tell you is, well, this is our belief. So yeah, I was saying that these people, the Quran only people that only believe in the Quran and they trust me, they are around, they try to give a logical explanation to everything, or otherwise they take it in the metaphorical sense. Like I told you, that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam traveled from the Haram to Aqsa in one night. They say, no, it referred to the Hijrah, that Nabi Sallallahu traveled from Makkah to the Hijrah. So they try to give it the logic. Another example that comes to my mind, remember the famous incident that when the Fir'aun pursued Musa alayhi salam, the ocean was parted, and then when Musa passed through the ocean, when Fir'aun was there, Allah Ta'ala brought the waves together and destroyed them. Ne? So what they say now, when Musa alayhi salam was traveling on the shore and a high tide came. What? A high tide came? Or like they call it, what they call it? Yeah, a high tide, spring tide came and washed them away. Right? So they try to give a logical spin to everything. So we say no, miracles are reality, right? So I remember irhasat, mu'jizat, and karamat. This ibarat comes in the Surah Shashi, wa karamatul awliya hakun. There's the miracles of the awliya are, means when we say here, awliya, we mean a non-nabi, which is a muttabi sunnat, a non-nabi that follows the sunnat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. There is another interesting thing. I told you first thing is this happens out of respect and honor. إعزازاً وتكريماً. They say here that a prophet always knows, he knows what's happening at his hand. He's aware that Allah Ta'ala is allowing this miracle to happen at my hand. And he can also intend it. He can also intend it. But a wali, sometimes something happened at his hands out of the ordinary. He's unaware of it. He's unaware of it. He is unaware. So Allah Ta'ala, through his barakah, allows something out of the ordinary to happen, and he's not even aware of it. You understood that? Are you with me? Right. The fourth type is called ma'unat. Sometimes Allah Ta'ala allows something to happen to assist a believer, as the word, a'ana yu'inu, a'in means to assist ana. Like they say, for example, sometimes out of the unseen, for food to come to you. That's ma'unat. So somebody's dying of thirst in the desert for water to appear out of nowhere. Sometimes Allah Ta'ala wants to ard for the distance to be covered very quickly. So this is called ma'unat, ma'unat, right? How many times you hear stories of people saying that we were stuck? There was nobody in sight. There was nobody living there. All of a sudden, we saw a person popping out of nowhere, coming. I told you the story last time. My grandfather, he was going into Cape Town, and that time, he come down Salori's Pass. That time was all bush, stuck with petrol. Imagine out of the bush, somebody came with a can of petrol. I mean, there's no garages, nothing, nowhere. And who's walking around with a can of petrol going nowhere? Person came put the fuel in, right? So that is, they say, that's why you'll do this also. We discuss this about Khidr alayhi salam. We done it, I think we done it. Is he still alive or not? A lot of ulama say Khidr alayhi salam is alive, and they swear that, we were stuck in this, and Khidr alayhi salam came and he assisted us. But even if it's not Khidr alayhi salam, Allah sends an angel or whatever to assist. So this is called ma'unat, where out of the a Muslim believer out of the unseen, Allah Ta'ala comes to assist him. And there are countless of stories. You see, you speak to the old people, they tell you that we were in such a condition and such a condition, and all of a sudden somebody came, assisted us. The next one is called istidrajat. Istidrajat is something which happened at the hands of a kafir or a fasik, right? And the critical part is he intends to do it. He wants to perform a miracle. And a classical example of this here, we done this Dajjal. Remember, Dajjal will perform many miracles. He will make like this is a garden, but be a fire. He'll give the impression of fire, but this will be a garden. And there's also a story. There was a person after, remember, you discussed this before, the Ridda Wars, after Nabi Sallam passed away, then there were a lot of opportunists. There was a person by the name of Aswad Ansi. Allah Ta'ala made it like it. Allah Ta'ala allowed it to happen. Remember, nothing happens without the permission of Allah Ta'ala, right? So Allah Ta'ala allowed him to perform some miracles. So this was like a test for the people. So he was a false Nabi, right? So if somebody performs like also maybe nowadays you see, you get, I don't know, most of the time it's hoax. But I don't know, you see sometimes you get this, this preachers in Africa, they call them prophets. What they call them? There's a big story here. People don't follow them media. People are very, very busy studying, mashallah. Mushairi, you ever heard of Nigeria? He was here in South Africa. So sometimes they cure the sick, whatever, whatever. So it is possible. It is possible. We, if that, I'm not saying it's a real miracle. We don't know. Most of the time, it's camera tricks and they're fooling the people. But let's say hypothetically, he didn't really do it. Let's say he did really do it. He did really cure a sick person, or he did. Then so we won't get excited, and we won't say this is a sign of his truthfulness. We won't say this is the sign of haq. That, so the main point what we want to make is that if an impious person, a kafir, or anybody performs an out of ordinary act, we won't get excited and say this is a sign that this person is on the truth, this person is on the haq. No. The main thing we understand is that Allah Ta'ala allows them to happen at their hands, and this is what we term as a test for the people. Istidrajat, right? Are you with me? وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ. So, example of this was Aswad Anasi. Then the next one's called Ihanat. Ihanat, where also a sinner, a non-Muslim, a kafir, a fasting, etc., he wishes to perform an out of an ordinary act, but Allah Ta'ala disgraces him, and it happens opposite to what you want to. Khilafu muradihi. Remember, I just mentioned earlier to you, in the time after the demise of Nabi Sallallahu, there were a lot of false prophets. One was Musaylamatul Kazab. So he thought he was a prophet. Somebody came to him, he was blind. One eye was blind. And so he wanted to perform a miracle, and he passed his hand over this person that was one eye was blind, and as a result, this person lost his other eye also. So this is called ihanat. And as a word suggests, ahana yuhinu, to be disgraced. One instance, he took his leftover water and he threw it into one orchard to think that things will grow everything. But what happened? Instead of barakat and the orchard flourishing, the orchard actually died. Everything died in there. He also, Musailat ibn Kazab, one instance, he threw his water, like his leftover water, in a well, trying to perform a miracle that the water must become sweet. But when he threw it, the water became bitter. Or sorry, it became bitter, it became dry. It dried up. So basically, iharat has been something happen opposite to how you want it to happen. Right. Then the last one, the most important one, In Arabic, it's called sihr. Normally, we say jadu, ne? Jadu is the Urdu word for sihr. In Arabic, we say sihr, and jadu is the Urdu word for sihr. And in English, it means like you can say, how we say magic, right? So, like we told you, everything has a literal meaning and a technical meaning. So, the literal meaning, just a translation, كل ما لطف مأخذه ودقة. Everything which its origins are very fine. And in this context, why is it called something fine? That normally, like if you look at anything, it has an apparent, cause. Like if you want to hurt somebody, you'll hit that person, you'll cut that person, you'll shoot that person. So the causes are apparent and it's open. But when you make sihr on somebody and you harm somebody, you can't really see the cause of it. You can't see what is harming that person. So in that sense of the word, it is a very fine thing, right? Okay, before we come to this here, maybe I forgot to mention, firstly that sihr, it is haq, it is a reality. A lot of people deny this. In fact, even I told you, um, the Quran only people and even the Qadianis, they deny sihr completely. They say there's no such thing as sihr. They say there's no such thing as sihr. It just, it doesn't exist at all, right? That's the first point I want to make to you. And the second point I want to make to you is this here, that it is proven from the hadith, etc., even from the Quran, that verse. If you want nice detail of this, you must do. Ismail was here when we done it about Harut and Marut. Allah Ta'ala sent them down from the Asman to teach sihr as a test, right? Remember that Allah Ta'ala sent them down, and they said clearly that innama nahnu fitnatun, that the sihr that we brought, it is a test. فَلَا تَكْفُرْ. Right? So sometimes you show somebody the wrong thing. Why? For him not to do it. Don't open the key like this here. But don't turn the key like this, because you turn the key quickly like this, you're going to break the lock. So you show them how not to do something, so they must abstain from it. Are you with me? So this is the origin of the science of sihr, that Harut, and if you go to this verse of Harut and Marut in Ma'arif al-Quran, which is even in English, you'll get the best, most beautiful explanation, right? So, so sihr is a reality mentioned in the Quran. It is mentioned in the Hadith. Al-aynu haqqun. eh? And also, we also believe that Nabi was also mashoor. Remember that if you study the verses of the Surah Falaq and Surah Nas, they were specially revealed to pure Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam from sihr, etc. Are you with me? So that's the first point I want to make. That is a reality. Yes, I agree with you on this point that people overplay it. Anytime something go wrong, they say no, somebody don't wanna they try to wake up for Fajr. They say I got jadu. Husband and wife are fighting all the time. They say no, it's sihr. Um, person can't come to madrasa. You say somebody may sihr on me, I can't come regular to madrasa. Somebody's failing the exams. You say no, I got sihr. Somebody made, yes, they agree with you 100%. People generally do overplay that. People generally do overplay it. But yes, so the fact that people overplay it does not mean we can deny it totally. Does not mean we must deny it totally and deny its reality, because its reality is proven from the Quran. I told you that verse, وَمَا يُعَلِّمَانِ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ فِتَّةٌ فَلَا تَكْفُرْ, all that stuff. Its proof is there, right? So I agree with you that people do overplay it. I agree with you, people blame it. Where it's not there, but that does not mean there's no reality. There is a reality for it, right? Are you with me so far? Right. So two, three, two. So I was telling you the literal meaning is كلما لطف مأخذ ودق وصهر. Another literal explanation: إخراج الحق في صورة الباطل. إخراج الحق في صورة الباطل, to present the truth in the form of being something wrong. So just okay, the author had stopped there. He didn't mention anything else, because remain the main thing when the speakers speak about the mu'jiza, right? The main thing when speak. I'll just add something which I remember in the first part. What is the hukum of sihr? The hukum of sihr, the other ulama are very hard. They say automatically sihr is kufr. The moment you engage in sihr, you are a kafir, you come out of the fold of Islam, and then you wajib al-qatl. But if you look at the Hanafi, the Hanafi ruling with this is the best. It is more detailed. It is, we say that you look at what the sihr includes. If the sihr includes you doing an haram act, then the sihr is haram. If the sihr includes you doing kufr, then it's kufr. If the sihr includes you doing an act which is inappropriate, then we say the sihr is inappropriate. If the sihr includes you to do something which is halal, then it is halal. Are you with me? I'll give you a simple example. If the sihr says that you must make shirk, so say means you want to do something. Simple example: you want to observe, you want to achieve a certain objective. You want to achieve a certain objective. You want to harm somebody, right? Right. So now the sihr includes that you must make shirk with Allah Ta'ala. You must say, Shaitan, na'udhu billah, is my Rabb. You must say, Shaitan is my Rabb, right? So now, what are you doing? What are you doing? You are doing shirk. You are ascribing a partner to Allah Ta'ala, right? So that is haram. So what did the shirk get you involved in, Luqman? The shirk got you involved in what? In kufr. So that sihr is kufr. Are you with me? I give you another example. Maybe you want to you want to get rich, for example, right? Simple example. So you want to get rich, so you want to make money. But the Amal say that look here, these are real examples. I'm not putting from my head here. These are real examples. You go look in the kitabs. You must read. You must go in. You must get in. It's real. Not don't laugh. This is real things. As I'm telling you. The Amal say that you must get in the halat janabat, and you must miss one day salah. You mustn't bath. You must miss one day's whole salah, and maybe you must recite a certain thing, whatever. So now look here. Did you commit shirk? You never commit shirk. What you done? You missed your salah. What you done? You missed your salah, right? And you in halat janabat for one whole day, right? You are filthy because when you are filthy, you have a closer connection with the shayateen, right? So there you never commit shirk. So we won't say now that person's a kafir because his sihr didn't entail him to do what? He didn't entail him to do what? To commit shirk or kufr. It only caused him to do something haram. So we'll say this sihr here is haram. You're not a kafir. You have to make tawbah of it. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Right? And then there's another, this may sound funny to you, right? May say, but there's a reality. There's one book called Hayatul Haywan, Allah Mazamiri. They got one amal in there where a woman must take a menstrual blood and she must actually rub it on her breast, like in certain things she want to do. So the point I'm trying to make to you is this here. If the sihr includes, if the sihr only includes haram, we say this is haram, we won't say it's kafir. Are you with me? Now, people often ask this question about ta'weez, and amaliyat. Actually, it comes in the same hukam. If the thing you are doing, it is halal, like you have to recite a certain verse so many times from the Quran, right? Right? And right, you recite maybe Surah Fatiha 7 times, and then you blow. Now that technically, normally when we speak about sihr, we only speak about the negative, the haram part of it. But technically, literally speaking, that also comes under sihr. But this is the halal sihr because why? You're reciting something which is proven from the sunnah, and so there's three conditions. The thing you are doing, it must not have kufr meaning. It must not have shirk meaning, right? And you mustn't, especially if it's an amal which is not proven from the sunnah. Yes, if it's proven from the sunnah, then you can understand it to be from the sunnah. But if it's not proven from the sunnah, then you mustn't understand. Uh, then you mustn't understand it to be the sunnah. And the third thing is you must not. Um, you must not consider mu'athir bizat. You must remember that Allah Ta'ala does. So the same thing here, three things here. For Tawiz, normally the Salafis, the Wahhabis, they say Tawiz and Amaliyat is not permissible. But it will be permissible with these three things. First thing, if it's not proven from the, if it's proven from the Sunnah, like Nabi Sallam say, you recite this 3 times or recite this thing, obviously you consider proven from the Sunnah, you don't consider Sunnah. You just consider it to be something learned through experience. That's the first thing, right? Or Taoist. The second thing, the meaning must be good, right? You must know what it means. And if you don't know the meaning, then you must leave it out because highly possible it has a shirk meaning. I'll tell you why. You see, remember I mentioned to you that this whole science of this sihr, etc., it came about in the time of Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam. That's in the Quran, clear in the Quran, right? And they should speak Hebrew there. So a lot of these words you'll find it's in Hebrew. So if you don't know the words, or there's some diagrams you don't know, then there's wajib to stay away from it. Why? Because possibly it is shirk, right? So the first thing is the meaning. If it's sunnah, you good, you can consider sunnah. Second thing is the meaning must be good. And the third thing is you must not consider it mu'assir bi that. You mustn't say that this does. You must say Allah Ta'ala does. This is a means from the means of Allah Ta'ala. Right? Are you with me? So that's I'm giving you all random things I remember now from my mind about sihr. Another thing I would want to mention to you that I was very interested to find out that is sihr ma fawq al asbab or ma taht al asbab. What does that mean, Luqman? Is sihr ma fawq al asbab or ma taht al asbab? Uh, Luqman, Ismail, what do you think that means? Is ma fawq al asbab or ma taht al asbab? Okay, so these are all technical terminologies. I'm trying to explain it to the best of my ability. If anything is not clear, you can ask, inshallah. We'll try to help you with the explanation. If anything is not clear, please ask. We try to help you with the explanation. What does this mean? Ma fawq al-asbab and wa ma taht al-asbab. Like I remember I mentioned to you earlier, we say that normally everything follows a set pattern. The knife cuts, the water drowns, the fire burns. Does sihr also follow the normal pattern of being according to cause and effect, or is it something like a miracle which is not cause and effect? You know what I'm saying? That, like I told you, Nabi Sam got the moon to split. That was not normal cause and effect because I mean, pointing something at your finger can't cause something to split. So that wasn't normal cause and effect. Are you with me? That was not normal cause and effect. So is sihr normal cause and effect, or is it something which goes beyond cause and effect? It happens contrary to the normal, what you call it, the normal system of how things happen. Now, remember here, we're discussing all the things that happens out of the normal. Here, we're discussing things that happen out of the normal. So the fact that the author included this here in things which happen out of the normal shows you that he's saying sihr also doesn't follow the normal rules of cause and effect. Are you with me? But then I told you, if you look at that verse in the Quran, وَمَا يُعَلِّمَانِ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ فِتَّةٌ فَلَا تَكْفُرْ. That verse there in the Quran, in Ma'arif al-Quran, there they explain that no, sihr is also something which happens, follows it's the normal course of effect. It's maybe the shayateen, etc., that do the thing. So the only conclusion we can come to is maybe certain type of sihr, it follows the normal cause and effect, and certain type of sihr, it is above the cause and effect. I got contradictory answers. Okay, that's enough for sihr. Now we're coming, inshallah. So there we've got all the different type of things which happen out of the ordinary. Now we're going to come, inshallah, to the actual lesson that we are concerned with. Mu'jiza, the main discussions of mu'jiza are out of the ordinary act which happens at the hands of a Nabi, right? Remember, that's our main discussion. So I told you, people know ajaza yu'jizu. Ajaza means to be unable. Ajaza means to make somebody else unable. So you say mu'jiza, that thing made you unable. So why is a miracle called something a mu'jiza? Because it makes you unable from giving a rational explanation. If you see somebody split the moon, the saw some water flowed out of his fingers. You got no rational explanation. How can water flow out of a human being's fingers? How can a person split the moon with his fingers? So it makes you unable, right? So it's called al-mu'jizatu. What's the mu'jiza? Amrun kharikun lil-adati. It's a matter that is out of the ordinary. Yu'jizul bashar. It enables, it renders unable the human being. Ayyatu bi misrihi, that he brings something similar to that. Either you are lazy, you get up from bed, or you are busy testing and talking, you know. So, so here's an interesting explanation here also. They say also the miracles, this is very interesting. First time I came across it. The miracles of Nabi is two types. Listen nicely. The first type of miracle of a Nabi is to prove that he's not an ordinary person, he is a Nabi. Like he says, people say well, that look here, a Nabi says to the people, look here, I am a Nabi, right? I am a Nabi. I'm not an ordinary person. I've been sent with a message, etc., etc. So they say, okay, you claim you are a Nabi. What is your claim to fame? What's your proof to say? What is your proof to say? Now he performs an act out of the ordinary to show that he's not a human being, normal human being. So you can say the first type of thing is it is to prove his claim of nubuwwat. And basically, it is to guide the people. The people must see this is not an ordinary person. He's performing out of the ordinary acts, right? So most, yeah, he's mentioning, keep this in mind. Most of the miracles of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of all the Anbiya come under this category, right? And here also is mentioned, I did mention to you before, that the greatest, biggest miracle of our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the Quran, because it's a mu'jiza da'imi. When the Quran was revealed, people were unable to bring a likeness for it, and people were inspired by it. And until today, nobody can bring a likeness for it. And until today, people continue to be inspired by it. Millions of people have been inspired, if not billions of people throughout the ages have been inspired by the Quran, and they continue to be inspired by the Quran. So that's why we say the Quran is a mu'jazah da'imi, a continuous miracle. So this is the first one, right? I thought this is the one where Allah Ta'ala grants the Nabi something and to guide people. The second one is where people request a miracle. People say, okay, right. So I explained this in the first part, but it's wrong. So take that out. The first part I told you is where Allah Ta'ala gives out to his own supernatural feet to inspire people. Then the second one is this one here, where people request. They want to test the Nabi. You say you are a Nabi to show us this. Can you do this? Can you do that? And if you look in the Quran and if you look at the history, etc. So just remember that I just got it a bit mixed up earlier. So just correct this. This is where, without any request from the people, Allah Ta'ala allows a miracle to happen at the hands of a Nabi. That's the first one. The second one is where people request a miracle that, you say you're a Nabi, show us what you can do. Now, here he say also, if you look at the Quran even, and if you look at the Sirah, etc., you will find that the people made outlandish requests throughout history. Like if you look at the people of Ad, what they requested, that Allah Ta'ala, if they want to see that the Nabi he takes a pregnant cow, a pregnant she camel out of the mountain. We all want to see this here, then we will believe. They asked the prophets that you show us that you can create a big orchard with rivers. You show us that you can fly in the sky. Show us that you've got a letter or some written proof from the skies to show that you are a Nabi, that we can read it. Interesting, they say, remember this Nabi, this miracle that manifests itself as a result of a request from the people. Follow nicely. One is Allah Ta'ala just gave the miracle and people don't believe in the miracle. That's one. But where they requested a miracle and Allah Ta'ala in his infinite wisdom thought it appropriate to grant that miracle, and then people did not practice upon that miracle, then Allah Ta'ala destroyed them all. Allah Ta'ala destroyed them all. So follow nicely. You study the Quran, you see wherever people requested a miracle, right? Wherever people requested a miracle, a specific miracle, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted them the miracle, right? And then, despite Allah Ta'ala granting them the miracle, they did not believe. Then Allah Ta'ala destroyed them all. Allah Ta'ala destroyed them all. Like the instance of the cow, the she camel, etc. Right? So when Allah Ta'ala, when the people request miracles and Allah Ta'ala refuse to give them the miracle, that is actually a mercy from Allah Ta'ala. That is actually a mercy from Allah Ta'ala because Allah Ta'ala have to grant them miracle and they do not believe after that, then they are signing their own death warrants. They are signing their own destruction warrants. So like that, even if you study the seerah of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, on several occasions, the Quraysh, they would request miracles, 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 but Allah Ta'ala did not grant it because this is the sunnah of Allah Ta'ala. Because why? Look here, most of the Quraysh, this is interesting part, most of the Quraysh became, most of them became Muslim afterwards actually. And Allah Ta'ala had world hidayat for them. So if Allah Ta'ala had to give them a miracle upon their request, and they did not accept the miracle, what would mean? What would that mean? Did they all be destroyed? And Islam is the final religion till Qiyamah Day. There's no other religion going to come to the Quraysh, the Kuffar of Makkah, etc., etc. They were chosen to be the flag bearers of this religion. So you see the wisdom of why they were not granted all the miracles that they requested. Because Allah Ta'ala had bigger plans for them. Allah Ta'ala had greater plans for them. So yeah, the author is saying that inshallah in this hadith, in this chapter, we'll see over 74 ahadith that speaks about the miracles of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, different types. And then he said, I've also separated them and discussed them in detail. Let's just, our time is almost up. Let's just do one for the barakat sake, inshallah. Let's just do the first one, inshallah. Just read the first one. So everything is clear there. If anything is unclear, let me know, inshallah. I hope everything is clear. I discussed sihr, we discussed ma'unat, we discussed mu'jizat, and also the mu'jizat, two types. I bet this is quite interesting. First time I might have come across it before, but I forgot about it. But first time, so those that Allah Ta'ala sent out of His own, they are not followed by destruction. And those which the people, the Qawm, they requested it, and if they did not believe after that, they would be destroyed. And this is one of the reasons why Allah Ta'ala didn't grant the Quraysh all the miracles, because Allah Ta'ala had bigger plans for them. They're supposed to come the flag bearers of Islam. Anyway, we just read one hadith for the barakah, inshallah. Yeah, so it's under Abu Bakr is Siddiqa because the sifat of Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr, who is the truthful one, the honest one, right? Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar. Right, look at this hadith. This hadith, yeah, is speaking about when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Abu Bakr was in Ghar Thawr, the first night of the Hijrah. وعن أنس بن مالك رأيتنا صارت بأنس بن مالك أن أبا بكر الصديق أبو بكر الصديق قال نظرت إلى أقدام المشركين. He's saying when myself and as Abu Bakr or myself and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we were in Ghar Thawr. We were hiding there, right? Right? And so if you see the Ghar Thawr, you see the cave actually goes down like this, goes down. So if you peep out of the mouth of the cave, you see the ground level. So you could see the people walking past. You understood? One day, inshallah, you'll see it also. نظرت إلى أقدام المشركين. I looked at the feet of the mushrikeen. على رؤوسنا, in line with our heads, because this was goes down in the ground. ونحن في الغار, whilst we were in the cave. And obviously I was worried that these people are right on us. They're right by our heads. فقلت يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, يا رسول الله, لو أن أحدهم, if any one of them, نظر إلى قدمه, look down to his feet, أبصرنا, he will see our heads. فقال يا أبا بكر, the Nabi said, oh Abu Bakr, ما ظنك, what do you think, باثنين, with regards to two people, right? الله ثالثهما, there are two people, But Allah Ta'ala is the third person. Allah Ta'ala will assist them. Allah Ta'ala will help them. Help them. Muttafaqun alayhi, and it's a muttafaq alayhi riwayat. Alhamdulillah, we read the hadith, we got the barakah. We'll do the explanation tomorrow, inshallah. We'll do the explanation. Remember, tomorrow we'll do the explanation of that tomorrow. So we switch over now to the tafsir. I think we just started.